Imagine having a LinkedIn ads framework that consistently books demos, trials, and sales calls from your ideal clients. That's exactly what you're going to learn today. I'm sitting down with John Stewart, and he's going to share the exact blueprint to start cooking inbound demos from LinkedIn. We'll be running through everything from who LinkedIn ads is a good and poor fit for, what you need to have in place before you get started, and his unusual strategy right from boosting organic posts to capturing those in-market prospects, nurturing and staying top of mind until your ideal customers are ready to grab a call with you or sign up to your solution. So if you want LinkedIn ads to finally be a repeatable channel to drive inbound for your B2B or SaaS company, then stick around to the end. Let's get into it. All right, could you give us a quick intro to yourself and your company?
Yeah, I'm John. I run a company called MinMax Media. We help B2B SaaS and tech companies to get more clients or more predictable and scalable inbound with LinkedIn ads.
Legend. So we're going to be digging into how you can build a LinkedIn engine, a LinkedIn ads engine for your B2B tech or SaaS company that's absolutely going to cut demos, trials, or signups for your organization. You're going to dig into the playbook that you've got running right now, John. So excited to have a look at that and kind of walk through it step by step for folks watching or listening. Before we do, I still speak to a ton of tech marketers and founders each and every week. And I think there's a lot of skepticism around if LinkedIn ads are still effective. I hear a lot of stuff like they're too expensive or they take too long to work or various other things. Like, what are some of the biggest misconceptions that you hear all the time, John, when it comes to LinkedIn ads?
There's a lot around that. So basically, they do work, but they take a bit of time. Usually, not always, but usually. And what works now is different to what worked literally 1 year ago. So if you're in B2B SaaS and tech, it should work for you, provided your economics work out, i.e. your average order value is like 3K plus, ideally much higher, and your target audience is actually on LinkedIn. If you fulfill those two criteria, you should be all good. The problem is most people approach LinkedIn ads running them like ads, which sounds counterintuitive. I'll explain what I mean and how not to do that. But as a result of them doing that, it doesn't really work. So the structure I'm going to run you through in a second, if you ran that structure I'm going to run you through compared to what most people traditionally do, your cost per call will be roughly 3 times lower with the structure I'm going to walk you through, which isn't making it feel like you're running an advertising campaign. So LinkedIn ads do work. You just have to approach it in a way that works right now, and you weirdly have to go about it in a way that doesn't feel like advertising. And in terms of the cost thing, yeah, the CPM or cost per 1,000 impressions, so cost to actually get started is higher, but often the lead quality is so much higher that your cost of acquisition remains the same as other channels. In some instances, the ROAS is higher because the quality of the client is higher. So you do need some money to invest, but all marketing channels have their problems.
No doubt.
All you need to put into to get working, like, it's not like there's a miracle solution where there's no problems.
I'm yet to find one.
Exactly, yeah. So like, yeah, you're right to have skepticism. You'd be right about to have skepticism about literally anything you do ever. So yeah,
fair. And I suppose, is there a good time to get started on LinkedIn ads? Is there certain things that you should have in play before it makes sense to fire up?
Yes. You need to there's a few things. I mentioned the economics, so you need to make sure that you're charging people enough money to make the whole thing work. But other than that, generally speaking, we find the sweet spot is when you're like 11 to 50 employees or 50 plus, you're absolutely fine. The reason I do it based on headcount there is because that's indicative of something that's going on in your business. So you need to make sure you have an offer that works and you just understand the basics of acquisition. So you're acquiring clients usually from some other channel, be that manual outreach or an organic channel, and you have a sales team that knows how to deal with leads and close them. Provided you have those criteria, you're in a really good spot. Issue comes where you've just started and you have a hypothetical, like, I want to target this audience with an offer, and you've never sold it. That is a bad time to run ad.
Yeah, I think that's a bad time to do much anything in terms of marketing, really, until you've tested it and actually got some consistent cash flowing clients.
But I think the problem is some people see it as a magic pill. They're like, if I start this, it will resolve all my problems. But the problem is usually, if you're at that stage, more of an offer or product market fit problem.
Yep. Cool. Let's dig in. I know you've got a bit of a framework to share.
So this is basically the framework that's working right now. For us, we're using this exact framework, and for pretty much every client we've got, sometimes there's a bit of a tweak, but I'll run through it from top to bottom. So the first thing we do, and this is what I was saying around ads being not as corporate, the first thing we do is we use something called thought leadership ads. So thought leadership ads are basically just adverts that come from a personal profile as opposed to a company page, and they don't feel like ads. They feel like you actually talking to someone. The creative is usually a little bit rough around the edges. Like that's a photo I took on my phone on a dining room in the other room. So like everything looks just natural. Generally speaking, what we found works for this top of funnel thought leadership ad is you talk or lean very heavily into the pains of your target audience. So exactly the same thing you do where you look at audience messaging. We just run through sales call transcripts into Claude and we get out all the pains someone's experiencing, put those in the exact words your target audience uses into this ad here, explain the pain and how you can resolve it, and then you just put a link, usually to a landing page, or you can ask someone to DM you. So just by doing that alone, you can get sales calls or demos booked into your diary. Generally speaking, when it's up and running, the cost per sales call is between $250 to $500. It varies. We've seen it lower, we've seen it higher. It depends on who you're targeting and what your offer is. So those ads send people to a landing page sequence or they get them to DM you. That, however, is usually where most people stop. They would do one ad to a cold audience and usually it would be more of a traditional ad. So we're switching it up by doing thought leadership. Where it changes though is you take anyone who interacted with that advert and then you put in other traffic sources. So like if they're working with you and they've got SEO on the go, they should be getting traffic that's looking for their solution going to the website, but not everyone converts. You just need to stay top of mind for a while. So we take people who visited the website or blog pages or whatever that might be. You've got a podcast, YouTube channel, whatever. People who visited company pages and anyone who clicked on this ad. Clicking on it shows they got some interest. Then we set up remarketing audiences and we set up 4 campaigns to retarget that traffic. And this helps you convert more traffic. And this is what brings your cost per call down. So the main 2 you're going to run are video ads and image ads. And again, there's some things you need to take into consideration with the creative type and the angle. So for this first touch point, we lean into pain a lot, but as soon as you get to remarketing, you need to lean into proof. And I know you're running LinkedIn ads right now, right? And we spoke before and you said most of the stuff that's working is you sharing like people you've worked with, case studies, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, so this is exactly what you do here. If someone's clicked, they've shown intent or interest in the product, in the problem, or they're looking at you specifically. You use video ads and image ads to just show I got someone a result, this is how I did it. So image ads can be screenshots of people getting results. Videos can be, this is a meme. We found memes work particularly well. Could be a video of just someone saying how it worked. If you're a SaaS platform, it can literally be you clicking through the SaaS platform showing how to do something. So you're just proving that you can do what it is you claim you can do. Then you also run something called text ads. That's about $1.50 for 1,000 impressions. We've had cost per calls on this type of ad campaign for about $80. And then finally, the last piece of the puzzle is something called message ads. So message ads are the most efficient and effective way to convert traffic because it's direct one-to-one communication. It's a message that lands in your target's inbox. It only triggers once they've already shown an interest and interacted with you. And you just use this to get someone to book a call. If you have that kind of a stack, that leads to those cost per calls I mentioned earlier. And everything just then puts people back into the funnel. So it's actually really simple, but that's essentially what we're seeing work right now for us and also for our clients.
Awesome. A few points to dig into. So the initial start is an organic post from, I guess, maybe ourselves or maybe it's one of our leadership team or our founder or whoever it may be. And then that's getting boosted. Is that first going to a cold set list of ICPs or what's the framework there?
Yeah, so there's a few ways you go about this. Either you have a list of people. So if you have a list of people you're reaching out to, this works really well. You would just do it to that audience. Or you can use LinkedIn Ads Manager to target people. Targeting at the top of funnel is the most important thing. So the best thing we've found to hone in your targeting, like 100%, is to get a list of everyone who's ever closed, go on to their LinkedIn profiles and see exactly what their job titles are, and then see how their companies that they work for, what they're categorized on LinkedIn as. It will literally tell you the industry as categorized on LinkedIn. You just target people people in there who exactly align with whoever's already closed. You don't add to it or hypothesize. And if you do that, they'll go to the right people.
Yeah, I like that. No need to reinvent the wheel. A lot of that kind of stuff, like in marketing, comes back to actually looking at data, right? Like, who have you historically sold well into that had that problem they want to solve, and actually has cash to do business with you, is actually motivated to do it? Your sales team or customer success team enjoyed working with them. Like, what's that recipe? And that's just keep replicating that time and time and again.
Essentially, that's it. Yeah.
Cool. Real quick, I got a free gift for you. Right now, we've worked with over 50 SaaS companies to make SEO and AI search a top inbound and pipeline driver, and most see an uptick in inbounds, pipeline, and revenue quick as 90 days. You can grab my free 90 days to revenue playbook and video today. Head over to breakingb2b.com/newsletter or hit the link below. You'll be able to unlock it instantly and join thousands of B2B legends who are already following the framework. That's breakingb2b.com/newsletter. And on a thank you page, you'll have an option to grab a call with our team if you want to discuss ramping up your SEO and AI search to drive a consistent flow of inbounds. Right, back to the video. In terms of the starting point, which is like doing the organic post either yourself or someone from your team. So I know you mentioned like digging into pain points from sales calls and then perhaps using Claude or similar to help you discern what the main pain points are and then come up with a post. Is there much of a framework you've got in terms of, I don't know, how many initial posts you want to do, if there's a framework for how you should structure each post, and I guess much of a playbook on that starting point that we should consider?
Yeah, so we've templated everything, so we've just tested loads of stuff. Generally speaking, where you're doing it up here, ideally you would only run like 1 or 2 campaigns,
right?
So that your ad spend is focused, which is different to how it used to be. And then we only test usually like 3 different ad creative variations. So we'll get 3 posts up and we'll boost all 3 of them. Sometimes we go up to 5. I wouldn't go more than that because then you again spread ad spend a little bit too thin. And if you're using templates that previously worked, chances of them working are very, very high because they've already been proven to work. So you want to keep it quite simple. You don't need loads to test. You just hone in on what's already worked and try and replicate.
I guess if you work with a client, be it SaaS or B2B tech, and they've got someone that's maybe already active on LinkedIn and perhaps getting some organic reach, traction, impressions on their content already.
Yeah.
And maybe they've got a library of posts because they're posting like, I don't know, once a day or every couple of days, a few times a week. Is there anything you do on that side to, I guess, get more leverage from what they're already doing organically?
Yes. So unfortunately, if you had historic engagement on an organic post, you can't retarget that, which is unfortunate, but it is how it is. But if there's something historic that's done well organically, if you put ad spend behind it, it will continue to do well. It's very predictable. So if you already have organic content that's performed well, that's awesome. We've got quite a few clients. A lot of clients now do have that. We would take that and we would just use that as well. So we would use our template, but then we would just use what's historically worked. So yeah, that can be really beneficial.
Nice. Sounds good. Essentially, the flow is like start at the top funnel, kind of dig into pain points that a prospect might have that maybe doesn't know your solution exists or similar right now, then send them to the landing page with an offer to fix that for them. Understand that a good chunk of those won't convert, and then you're retargeting them, so when they hit the site, you're kind of staying top of mind. Then you're serving them those 4 type of ads. So you've got the text ads, the message ads, the video ads, and the image ads. They're getting more aware of you, so you're basically keeping top of mind with proof points and sharing results, case studies, breakdowns, and all that kind of stuff, and also then hitting them with kind of targeted DMs, it sounds like. Is there anything folks should know, I guess, on that next flow that's important or that often gets neglected when it comes to then more of the retargeting angle?
Yeah, when it comes to retargeting, people tend to shift their ad creatives to be more corporate. I cannot stress this enough. Millions in spend in testing. We've tested thousands of ads. If it looks corporate, it will not perform as well as something that doesn't. So a meme or something that looks like it was thrown together quickly will outperform your perfectly branded ad. It just will. So just be aware of that. If you want to stick to brand guidelines, that is cool. You just need to be aware that it can affect you in terms of your cost of acquisition. Also, when you're remarketing, let's say you're targeting company page visitors or website visitors in addition to people who clicked on this. You want to make sure that anyone going into this pot here is qualified, like they're in your target audience. Otherwise, you start sending messages to like the sales rep who went on your website to want to sell you. They were doing some research or just that kind of craziness.
Is there something that marketers or founders that are tuning into this need to then keep an eye out? And is there a certain setting or something like that they need to tinker with?
Yeah, there's an option in LinkedIn Ads Manager called Professional Demographics, which is insanely useful. I don't think you get it anywhere else really. You can select a campaign, press Professional Demographic, and it will show you everyone, not the exact person, but it will show you like, this is the percentage of people with this job title, percentage of people in this industry, company size, and it will tell you who's viewing your ads based on the data on LinkedIn. It's very powerful. So what you want to do is you want to do it at the top as well, but with your remarketing especially, you want to look at that and make sure that everyone who's in that audience is ICP, like they are dead on who you want to see your ads. If they're not, you just need to add filters. So you can have a remarketing audience of people who visited your website, but you can stack a filter on top of it that says they also need to be the founder of a company between company size of 11 and 200, and they need to work in software development. And what that means is you're only spending money on people who are qualified rather than just a mass of people, including sales reps or people looking for jobs, which you do not want to advertise to.
Nice.
So that's something to be considered.
What do folks need to know in terms of, I guess, idea where to start? Like, what's the minimum that you should look to set as a budget to actually give this a fair test and runway?
We recommend a minimum of 3 to 5K a month for the first 3 months in overall ad spend, just because you have to commit to something. Like, you need to test different ad creatives, you need to test different audiences. So that's the ad spend amount I would recommend. Also, LinkedIn ad performance improves over time. Like, the first month will be the worst month usually because you're testing audiences, you're testing ad creatives and all that kind of stuff. So 3 to 5K is what I recommend to begin with. At the end of those 2 to 3 months of spending that amount, you should have a fairly good idea of your baseline cost per call, if not your cost of acquisition, depends on how long your sales cycle is. Then you genuinely just backwards calculate. So if a client costs 1,000 to acquire and you need 10, you just increase your ad spend to 10,000 and you should get the same result, provided there's not diminishing returns on your audience. So that's it in terms of spend. And then there's some other things to consider, like if you're running a thought leadership ad, you have to spend a minimum of $50 a day on that specific campaign, otherwise you won't be competitive enough. So there's a macro, like you have to spend this much across everything you're doing, and there's a micro, like individual campaigns need to hit certain thresholds to be competitive.
And what about in terms of expectations? Appreciate this will vary from depending on the product and the target audience and who you're going after, but is there rough expectations in terms of timeline from actually firing this up to then expecting inbound opportunities to start flowing?
Yeah, if you have a proven offer and it's already working elsewhere, so if like you're already doing manual outreach on LinkedIn or you're already getting clients through organic on LinkedIn, you know the offer, you know the ICP, it's all dialed, you can genuinely start getting sales calls booked within like 2 or 3 days of launching. I just relaunched a new campaign yesterday and I've already got a call in the diary today. So you can be that quick. However, for most people, there's usually some stuff you've got to figure out. So in that case, you will get calls in month 1, but the cost per call will be higher. Generally speaking, it takes 3 months to really dial it in and get it to the place where it's really consistent. So yeah, varies dramatically, can work straight away if you're going in just using it as a scaling mechanism. If you're trying to figure anything out, like any messaging or anything, it will take more time, and the average is 3 months if that applies to you.
Yeah, so basically we're saying read Alex Hormozi's $100 million offer book and then come back.
Kinda. You've got to read it and then put it into practice for an extended period of time until it works consistently, and then you're all good. Which is why I said earlier, if you're a company between like 11 employees or more, you've probably figured that out. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to afford to have that amount of headcount in your company. So yeah.
Nice. We saw the same. Like, I got to the point where we run LinkedIn ads for Breaking B2B on both my organic posts to my personal posts and likewise for the company. And I think I was saying to you earlier that we probably ran them for 4 months or so. And I was getting really frustrated, almost to the point where I was going to tell our guy to switch them off, and then they just started working. And I think that was because we were going out to a real cold ICP audience and they just about trusted us enough to start booking calls. Yeah, we've been serving them like so much content, top funnel, pain point stuff, how-to guides, case study breakdowns, eventually the bottom of funnel, like customer results. And then the calls started coming and I was like, this works. And then it was like, when they jump on the call, they'd be like, yeah, we saw you on search. We then saw you on LinkedIn, saw some of your YouTube stuff, and it just all started clicking. So I think that time delay is real, especially if you're selling like a high average contract value solution, and just giving it that runway is important. But like you say, you've got to have the basic style of the offer. You've got to know your customer. You've got to do the research. You've got to have the right type of flow in place, like you've outlined, and the systems. And then if you do, it's a case of like giving it time, right?
Yeah, it definitely compounds over time and it gets better, which is another reason why month 3 tends tends to be where everything settles. So yeah.
Cool. Appreciate the rundown. Is there anything else folks need to know in terms of, I guess, some mistakes that you sometimes see when people run these playbooks, or any other kind of nuances that we didn't chat about yet?
Yeah, there's a lot of technical stuff. They have this on every platform now. The ads platform, their goal is to get you to spend money on their platform. Their goal isn't for you to make money, it's for you to spend money with them. So there are checkboxes, technical checkboxes in the back end of LinkedIn that are automatically checked, which are designed to make you spend more money, make vanity metrics look amazing, but give you bot traffic that never converts, which seems really backhanded and a little bit annoying, but that is how it is. So if you don't know what you're doing, get someone else to check it over or set it up for you, because I've literally, the amount of people I've seen come to me and be like, we spent $5,000, nothing happened. I go in, it literally is as simple as they had a checkbox enabled that they should have just turned off. Like, it is genuinely that simple. So if you don't know what you're doing, get someone to do it for you, or someone who knows what they're doing to at least look it over, because that alone can save you like $5,000. If you do need help, we offer help. So we have free one-on-one workshops you can book in, you can book consultation calls, or we can set up for you. But just be aware, like, there's some stuff that's just going to catch you out, which is really basic. Just don't fall for that stuff.
No, that's it. Is it still there used to be a setting, I remember, which was, can't remember the name of it, but it was almost like it would go to all the display ad sections.
Audience network. That's one of them. Yeah. I had a campaign running a few years ago. No, I know this stuff. This is probably 3 or 4 years ago, but I had a campaign running and it looked in the ads manager incredible. The highest click-through rate I'd ever seen, lowest cost per click. And I was like, wow, this is incredible. But we had 0 conversions, which was really weird because it was a proven converting funnel. And I had left the button on, and there's a button where you can literally separate it out by audience network and on LinkedIn. And it had spent all of our money on audience network, which is essentially bot traffic. As soon as I turned it off and switched it over, it worked fine. We started getting conversions. But yeah, that's one of them. There's multiple things happening like that, but that's one of them. Yeah.
RIP.
Yeah. Yeah.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks for running through the system. If anyone wants to connect with yourself and your team for help running this and implementing it, what's the best way to get in touch?
Yeah, so if you want to learn more and book a free one-on-one LinkedIn Ads Growth Workshop, it's maxed media media.com, or find me on LinkedIn, just John Stewart, or if you type in LinkedIn Ads in YouTube, guys will come up at the top. So anyway you want to find us, there's free content on YouTube, or you can get in contact directly with me and I'll try and help you out.
Great stuff. Speak soon.
Yeah, pleasure, man. Thank you.
And there you have it. I hope you found that framework useful. And if you want to join thousands of B2B legends enjoying my 90 days to revenue SEO and AI search playbook and video, head over to breakingb2b.com/newsletter and you can unlock it instantly, or hit the link just down below. And then on the thank you page, you'll have the option to grab a call with my team if you want to discuss ramping up your SEO and AI search to start driving pipeline and revenue quick as 90 days. And with that, I should catch you on the next one. Cheers.